Hey everyone, I'm going to do a quick analysis of the just recently released ReMind DLC trailer. It's not going to be super in-depth or anything, so I'm just going to put some overall thoughts in it, so let's play it a bit. So first thing we pretty much get revealed is that Final Fantasy characters are indeed returning, even though it might just be for the ReMind stuff and not the actual story editions of anything. My thoughts there is that we don't really know if he did that in response to people complaining about no Final Fantasy characters, or if it was already planned and he kind of just played along with it. It could be either or, so I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. It is kind of nice to see them again because they have been kind of really important well, not really important in the series, but they've been a big staple since the first game to just be in the game and kind of talk a bit with Sora and even have some fights with them and whatnot. So that's kind of neat to see again. Moving on, new Dark Inferno type enemy. I think a lot of people missed this from the journal entry, but the Dark Inferno enemies seem to be just kind of normal Heartless. They're not like specific people, you know. So this looks like it might be a new version of it. I don't know if it's like a super boss or just some cutscene little fight or something. I don't know. Would be neat to see. I'm going to stay a little bit away from the story stuff because obviously I'm more gameplay oriented. But it was a really good trailer regardless, even with the story stuff. And here we finally get to see some more combat from the DLC. We haven't really seen much. So we know that we can play as other characters. So we have Riku here attacking them. We have Ven, Roxas, and then a group. Obviously something important to know here before you start jumping to conclusions, if you notice, is the commands on the left. There's not really anything there. You see Reflega attack. You saw some reaction command pop up. I can't really see it. Hold on. Twisting counter. I don't know how this is going to work exactly, but it is kind of neat that they're going to have a fight like this. We'll see how it plays out in the actual DLC. More Lucio and Luxord story, I guess. Get some more story. Maybe get some more answers on, Superbosses. Alright, so obviously I'm big on this. I want the Superbosses to be good, and so far what they've shown us is pretty hype, you know. There's Zemnis. That looks, Dark Riku, Ansem. You got Larxene with basically a hyped up version of her regular desperation move. And then you have the laser dome with Sora here. Hopefully guard is fixed. They make it look good there, but you won't know until you play. So going back, let me get to it. Okay, so ton of HP bars. They're basically like the data fights is what they're getting at. I believe they stated exactly 13 fights, so it's probably going to be all the new org members from KH3 itself. I'm sitting here waiting for my Marluxia data fight. There's one little concern I have, and that's basically it about this, is that it looks like you can still use links in this, and as we know, they haven't touched any kind of balance in this game. So links, if they are effective against these fights, like if the bosses don't resist or anything, they're gonna shred them. I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen, or even something like Ever After Shotlock spam, or maybe even Ultima, I guess. That could also shred the fights, and that would be a little unfortunate if you could just do that the whole time, but we'll see. Hopefully they do some rebalancing, with especially with the links. Some people don't think they should ever balance single-player games, but I think that's stupidity to say something like that, especially when you're going to have super bosses like this. We haven't seen, ever since BBS and DD, we haven't really seen good super bosses until Phantom Aqua. And Dark Inferno was decent too, just a little on the easier side, no desperation move or anything. But they were good signs of what they're trying to get at. These fights none of the clips here look like anything that's bad. I think it's pretty funny they show Sora kind of getting shit on during this. That's pretty neat. That's a little bit of a surprise, and there's not really much to go on here in terms of if they're well designed, but I'll explain exactly how I feel super bosses should be. I think Lingering Will and some of the data fights, if not maybe half or something in 2FM, are good examples of what you want from your super bosses. They're a challenge. You have to learn them to win them on higher difficulties, especially if you're low level. They reward you for learning them too. That's the big thing. You usually don't randomly die in most of those fights. So that's important to me that they design their bosses like that. We don't want it to be just you randomly live or die if the game feels like it. I liked the way they did it in 2FM where it rewarded the player for learning the attacks, how to dodge, how to counter. It's like eventually down the line, once you fully learn the fights, yeah, they're going to be easier. That's the way usually gaming works in general. And that's fine to me because I don't need it to be like a random experience every time where something just happens and you couldn't do anything about it. So that's important. And obviously they need good balance, so you can't just spam one thing to take them out. Otherwise, the challenge kind of goes away, and then you have to start restricting yourself. And it's also going to be interesting to see with this new menu they're talking about where you can customize the difficulty, how that's going to play out. The only thing that would concern me about that is the chip damage problem. I don't want silly chip damage to make the fights supposedly harder. I want it to be to where it's like 2FM where they have proper damage scaling even if you're level 1, but you still die really easily. So it's like the challenge is still there, but you can still fight them without it taking like 20 plus minutes. So those are some of my hopes for the data fights roughly. At the end of the day, I just want them to be fun. I want them to be fights where you can, learn and master them, and they're still fun to do. You can learn and master BBS fights and DDD fights and whatnot, but they're not, to me, very fun and well designed. So at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I don't really want to play them that much. But I always find myself going back to 2FM, and I don't mind doing Phantom Aqua. Dark Inferno is, like I said, a little easy, but let's move on. So, more story stuff. There was one thing I definitely wanted to touch upon. I don't remember what part of the trailer it's in, though. But some of these cutscenes will be kind of neat to see, I guess. Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know exactly what this is supposed to be, but obviously you have Kairi and Sora fighting some sort of Xehanort thingy. Well, Goat Nort, I guess, in general. Not sure how that's going to play out. Let me go quickly back here. I did want to mention this, though. So everyone's excited at being able to play as other characters. It's neat. It's okay to me. I'm a little worried it might be boring in the sense if these are fights you can redo over and over or something like that. I don't know. I'm a little bit unsure because Sora's a completely fleshed out mechanical character. He has Keyblade transformations, magic, shot lock, links, and limits and whatnot. These characters probably are not going to have that, so it might make the combat a little monotone with them. We'll see how that plays out. But to me, that's not playing as other characters is not the selling point of this, but to many others, I notice it is. We'll see how that plays out exactly, but it is nice. Whether or not they made Kairi playable like this or look good is a response or not to the criticism. It could have been coincidence or planned. Who knows? I don't want to be the first idiot to assume that. So we're going to move on because the next part we have Scala. Scala being explorable is pretty hype, to be honest. But they didn't really, here's the thing, the only thing in the trailer they didn't really show or confirm in any way, is this just going to be on rails or are we actually going to be able to explore? I don't think there was anything there that implies we can just jump off that and glide around or something. Because to me, one of the biggest disappointments for the final world in general in Kingdom Hearts 3 is that Scala is just the final boss fights. In Kingdom Hearts 1, you have End of the World fully explorable. In KH2, you had The World That Never Was fully explorable. And in this game, it felt like the final world was really Keyblade Graveyard, of which we've already seen in BBS. So to me, it wasn't, that was a big issue. And we're like, okay, maybe eventually, maybe they cut the content or something. We don't know. They haven't confirmed it. But this trailer shows that we can move around Scala, but I'm hoping it's not just on rails. I mean, obviously at the beginning of this, you see there's there's some sort of free movement thing going on here. We just don't know the scale of it yet. And I really hope it is actually fully explorable and that it actually is a benefit to do, you know? Because if nothing's happening there, then yeah, what's the point? So that's how I feel about Scala potentially being fully explorable now. And yeah, a pretty neat trio battle they'll have, I guess, here with Syx. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work. Got some more awkward Riku dialogue.
I'm not alone this time.
I don't know why Riku talks so slow in KH3. It's really weird, but that's fine. And then they end on this note where you see Yozoro walking over to Sora saying the same dialogue Sora said in the opening of Kingdom Hearts 1. A lot of people were hype over that, and it's a pretty cool throwback. We'll see how this plays out in terms of story and whatnot. So anyway, the DLC in general looks potentially pretty promising. I'm pretty excited about the Superbosses. I hope everything's well done. They didn't state this for the patch, the free patch. There's nothing about bug fixes or balancing, so I'm a little bit worried because, like I said, Kingdom Hearts 3 combat is a little broken. Yeah. If you know what you're doing, and it makes it a little more boring. Because if links are still broken, then what's the point of trying to learn the fights if you could just Ralph your way or Simba your way through them? We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, those are basically my full thoughts for the moment. I kind of want to, I might do another video on what I really want fixed in the game with that hopefully comes with this. But as a trailer, this was a really good trailer. I'm really hyped for the super bosses. I can't wait to tackle them at level 1 as well, see if they're truly a challenge or if it's going to be more on the Dark Inferno side. We'll see. They did look like they're single fights, so the people who complained about having double or triple org fights, I guess you got your wish. So hopefully these single org fights are challenging enough to where it's warranted. Anyway, I think I'll stop here. So thank you everyone for watching. I know I said this would be short, but whoopsie daisy. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.